Okay, me again. Someone had asked about this. How do I get my cane to bend so well in all of these curves? Well, first place, the cane that I'm using is 3/16 round. Around the bird, I'm using 1/8 inch round cane, which is considerably thinner than the 3/16 cane. And unfortunately, I was telling somebody else that usually I'm using soft cane, but this stuff, inadvertently, when they sent it to me, they sent me the stiff. Now, I have to kind of pre-bend it to get it to go in to the curves, okay? And make no mistake, this can be tough on your fingers. Now, I'm not trimming this off yet until I get everything curved, until I get it to conform. You see, I have to have nails holding things in. I have to have nails holding things in also. When I'm exerting all this pressure on this cane to get it to bend around these curves like I want it to, it's just not going to bend and go around those curves unless it's made to. And it's got to be kept in place in order to do that. Now this is what, I'm shaking the camera. I'm going to trim this off a little bit. Here. So I'm not hitting the camera. See? This is how I get it to conform. Now, I'm doing this part here in one piece. And I have to fit the leaves and this piece. So I have to get all of this in before I can put the bird in. Because once I put the bird in, then I'm going to be building out from this corner before I can put that on. As too many folks seem to want to lead themselves into a corner, like some of those old comedy shows where the guy's painting the floor and the next thing you know he's all the way over in the corner and he can't get out until the paint dries. Well, we can do the same thing with lead cane. You know, led myself into a corner. So this is how I wind up doing this. Now, you know, the other little thing that you're probably wondering, well, what's that black edge around the outside for? Well, you know, in this case, I had to make the zinc cane outer edge first, because it has to fit into a frame that the client has supplied me. So, I wasn't going to play games with trying to make the oval and then try to make it fit into the frame. I don't have time for that. So, I did the oval first, then I put it inside the frame, laid the frame and the zinc cane on top of the paper and traced around the inside. So that gave me the inside edge of the zinc cane. Then to get the depth, I very carefully, because I make my own patterns, took a felt tip and went around the outside edge all the way around. Okay, because this was the first sketch. That gave me the depth of the zinc cane. So when I made my copy, the outside line there is part of the cutting pattern. And that's how I had to do that. Now I also not sure if you can see that or not. I'm going to check in frame. Yeah, I also keep little pieces of zinc around to put on the outside so I know where to trim the lead and make a little mark. Make a little mark. And because also, okay, now I can take the nail out, take the lead out, cut it with my lead dikes, put it back. You know, in lead caning is a lot of this, is that you have to make everything fit and then take it back out and trim it down so it fits with the corresponding cane. You know, the same thing. I keep little pieces of lead around to use as a guide so I know where to mark it, because this stuff is nowhere near as deep as the lead cane that I'm using for the majority of it. So I don't want to have too big of a honking gap that I'm going to have to fill up with solder when I solder. See? And now make no mistake, this is rough on your fingers, especially because, like I say, I usually use soft, and they sent me stiff, which has a more antimony in the alloy, which is not what I wanted. But unfortunately, I'm from the generation that 52 years ago we were very grateful to get what we could, to work with what we could. So we had to figure out how to make it work. Okay. So that's all held in place, and now I can work on getting the rest of it to fit. Something else that people will notice from time to time, this did not come out too clean, just like the blue that I used for the background did not come out too clean, as I would say clean anyway. Has a hell of a flange in some places, and the inside curves a hell of a flange. And you know, part of this is, you guys got to understand it. Unless you're cutting this with a saw, you know, you're cutting on the surface. When it breaks, sometimes it can flange out or flare out, and that has to come off in order to get a decent fit. Just like this green did not want to cooperate hardly at all. I've got a couple of big honking flanges that I need to take care of, flares that I need to take care of. So this guy goes here, and if he fit perfect, which would be great, but he needs to be a little bit underneath the line. One thing that I do when I check my fit is I'll take a felt tip, put the glass up in there, see how it fits in, and then I can go like this. Alright, now what this does, okay, this shows me how deep it goes. Alright, so if I'm going to edge this down, I'm actually edging, and I'm not grinding to the line, for crying out loud. I'm just trying to make the line even, because it should be a 1/16 of an inch deep. Here it's shallow, so it doesn't need to come out other than the flange. Here it's shallow, but here, if it's thicker, I take a little tiny bit off of there, smooth it down, and then check the fit again before I put another piece of lead around the outside, because basically it's just big honking. And also I've got a corner here that needs to come off because I've got another piece of glass over here that has to go in, and it's the same thing. I'm going to check the fit the same way. You know, they also tell you when you're, my glazing hammer, you know, when you're glazing, you get everything set up and you kind of tap the glass in to help it set. Well, it has to fit also. Let's check the fit on this also. Okay, like I say, this stuff did not cooperate too well. Okay, so I've got, that's got to come off a little bit, not down to the line, but so it evens up, so that the line from the edge of the glass to that black line should be about a 1/16 of an inch by eye. I'm not going to use a damn micrometer, for crying out loud. That's a little bit of overkill, but I will check my fit and do it that way. Then I'll wipe that off after I grind it and check my fit again before I put another piece of lead on there and the rest of it, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, everybody's saying, oh, your cuts are so wonderful. Well, no, they're not. No, they're not. I had areas on here that just did not cooperate. And those big honking flares have to come off in order for it to fit, at least for me. You know, some folks cut glass a lot better, and that's fine. But this is one of the things that I have to do when I'm caning a window, especially this one. Thank you. Hope that helps.